Hello there. I'm going to take you on a little walk. A couple of months ago, I bought a gimbal, and the whole point of a gimbal is to allow you to take relatively steady videos like this. My idea is I'll start doing videos of my songs. I did a video which was a walk across a beach, but it was so wobbly I could never use it. So, where are we? We're at Greetham Creek at Seal Sands in Teesside, and this is the location for one of my songs called Selkie Child. If you don't know, a Selkie is a strange sea creature that comes up from the sea, sheds her skin, and then reveals herself to be an adult human female. And for reasons that I'll go into it, maybe, I don't know. I set it here on Seal Sands, which I'd known about for a long time. Seal Sands was developed in 1968 as an attempt to sort of return the seal population to an area that had become heavily industrialised. Back in the 1800s, this area that you're looking at was essentially farmland and marshland, and hosted thousands of seals across the estuary. But through the 1800s, greater and greater industrialisation drove the seals away. So when they developed Seal Sands, the idea was to try and make the seal population return. It's quite an extraordinary area, Teesside, where I grew up. The town I was born in, Stockton-on-Tees, had a population of about 300 people in 1820. But 50 or 60 years later, that population had swelled to 30, 40, 50,000 people. So this brought in a lot of people from elsewhere, lots of Scots, Irish, anybody looking for work, really. It's quite a strange little nature reserve, Seal Sands, because as you can see in the distance, there's still the kind of remnants of industry. That looks like an oil rig in the difference. I don't know what an oil rig's doing inland. I thought they were out in the sea. But yeah, it's a strange kind of austere beauty to Seal Sands. I imagine all of this area back in the day looked like this. And it stretches the whole of the Tees estuary for miles and miles and miles. So we're quite far inland here. But the Tees estuary leads all the way to the sea, to Redcar. But as you can see, you've got this kind of clash of nature and very man-made stuff, with the cooling towers in the distance and these remnants of the industry. And this is a former shadow of the Teesside area, like a lot of places in Scotland and in Wales and in the northeast and in the northwest, and places down south as well. We went through this massive period of deindustrialisation, but there's still quite a lot of industry. So I'm going to take a little walk down this way. The bird watcher in front of me probably is wondering, what the hell is this person doing with their video camera out? But I might ask him why he's got his Twitcher stuff out. So, but yeah. So along the road there are these little placards that tell you about the area. So 200 years ago, 1,000 seals lived on the mudflats. And what the little posters along the way here eventually do is show you the decline of that seal population as industrialisation starts to take hold, and then the development of Seal Sands. So let me tell you a bit about the song Selkie Child. It's a kind of fantasy idea by which my mother comes out of the sea and finds herself stuck in Seal Sands, and hauls herself out of the water and meets my dad, and they have me, and I'm the Selkie Child. The Selkie myth has been around in Scots-Irish tradition for a very long period of time, and always the Selkie comes out of the sea, meets a guy, they have children, and there's always this tension in the story of the Selkie. You know, the Selkie wants to return back to the sea, but has this attachment for her husband and her children, obviously. And also there's all those responsibilities of being a wife and a mother. So in my mind, the sea represents the wild freedom that the Selkie could enjoy if it went back to the sea. Staying on land means an attachment and love with humans, but it also comes with a lot of responsibilities as well. So a lot of the poems and songs focus on the Selkie. But I started to think, you know, if the Selkie has a relationship with an adult human, male, then the children are really a mix or a blend of the two. And that was the sort of jumping off point for the song. Here I decided to put the gimbal close to the floor because I thought it would make it more dramatic. You actually get to see my feet briefly though, so sorry about that. There is another location in Teesside, sorry about that, in Teesside that I use in the song called the Bridge of Infinity, and I might do a video walk around the Bridge of Infinity. It sounds like a metaphor, the Bridge of Infinity, but it's actually a real bridge that they built in 2008 across the River Tees. And the actual bridge has a kind of arc that's lit at night, and because of the reflection of the water, that arc kind of mirrors itself and it creates the mathematical symbol for infinity. It's actually quite a beautiful bridge, and it's recommended, or I would recommend, if you are interested, to go and see the bridge at night, because that's when you'll actually see the Infinity Bridge. Now I'm coming up on the bird watcher here, so I decided to be courteous towards him and go round the sign, round the bird watcher, and not in front of him. How kind and polite of me. So I imagine this area, it's hard to measure how big this area is, and you're kept quite a distance away from the mud flats and the water, because obviously we don't want to disturb the seal population. And of course there's lots of birds here as well, so it's not just a reserve for seals, it's a reserve for birds as well, planked right in the centre of this industrial or post-industrial kind of location. So I wish I had a better camera that I could zoom in. So a thriving population of 30 grey seals, which isn't a huge number, but it's better than none at all. I particularly like these kind of wrought iron steel structures that they have at either end of this sort of viewing area. Very artistic, and I like the circles that they have in them. You'll notice when I get to the end of the walk here, which is a very short walk, that I'll sort of do some zooming around. So I guess at some stage I'm going to play you the song. So coming up, once we got up here, I'll put the song in the middle of this walking video, and you'll hear it. Oh, that was one other thing I should mention, is you'll notice how close the road is to Seal Sands. So the song actually begins with the sound of a car going past, because that was another thing I was struck by with Seal Sands, is the proximity of the road. You get cars flashing backwards and forwards all the time, and that was a bit of an accident. When I first did the video for Selkie Child, I found a local photographer, video artist, had done some footage around here, and it was really beautiful, fantastic skies, unlike these grey, battered grey skies that you're seeing now. And the video is available under Creative Commons, which means you can reuse it for other purposes. So I basically downloaded his entire video, dropped the music onto the timeline of my video editor, and pressed the play button. And I didn't realise his video had audio attached to it, and the opening audio had this whooshing sound of the car going by, and I thought, that sounds absolutely amazing. So I kept it in the end, So you'll hear that in the song very shortly, but you're actually in the place that I'm trying to evoke. And then I guess the last thing to say is I wrote the song before I visited this place, which I know sounds a bit weird. It's sort of the wrong way around. I should have visited the place and then been inspired by the place to write the song, but it didn't actually work out that way. I knew of this place through my childhood, and I was reading an awful lot about this. Reading an awful lot about Seal Sands. Just as I'm sort of trying to get in touch with my roots and the place I was born. And so I thought, I better actually go to this place that I've written a song about. I have been to the Bridge of Infinity. I was there last year. That's relatively easy for me to get. I was there last Christmas, but I never got to Seal Sands itself. So it felt like a bit of a pilgrimage. Is perhaps a bit of a strong word to use. More like I better go to this place, and I've actually physically been there. To actually write or sing about it would be weird not to have visited, but it was more of a concept in my head rather than a place. And I've sort of seen lots of pictures and videos and stuff, but this was the first time I'd ever physically been to the place. So I think I'm getting to the end of my rabbiting on here, and I think it's time for the song, Selkie Child, which is the opening track on my debut EP of the same name. Hope you enjoy the song, and I hope you've enjoyed this little walk along the road of Seal Sands. Thanks for watching, and thanks for listening to the song.
My mother was a Selkie, beached on Seal Sands. She could never leave a place on the land. And I was a Selkie child that could not be so far away from the salt, the sand and the sea. The human words I spoke, neither fish, neither fowl, neither flesh, neither bird or bloke. How strangely strange is this strangeling am I. How strangely changeable this changeling am I. I pulled myself up by my boots. I pulled myself up by my roots. Crossing the T's, the poor girl's Rubicon. One look over my shoulder, the next I was gone. Now here I stand on the bridge of infinity, with my future behind and my past in front of me, learning the secrets only a secret heart could tell, and feeling the pull of the estuary swell. For the thorn is the cradle of the oak, and the best lies live close to the truth. This is not a tear, I do not cry. It's just the wind in my eye. These are not tears, I shall not cry. It's just the wind in my icy eye. I was my mother's Selkie child. I was just my mother's Selkie child. I was my mother's Selkie child. I was just my mother's. I was just my mother's. I was just my mother's child. I was just my mother's. I was just my mother's. I was just my mother's child.